ladies and gentlemen, it is pretty safe to say that the whole idea behind censorship, the whole idea behind models being updated, some goonery stuff from Wuthering Waves being removed, has gotten a lot of the player base in, well, basically shambles. And so we've already made quite a bit of content regarding a lot of the censorship that's been going on in the game. Most specifically in this video over here, the Cartethyia situation is crazy. We went over a lot of the changes to some of the models that were in this game. We have photos of weekly bosses like Cartethyia, and we also have, you know, model updates to characters like Cartethyia. We've already covered that, and we've also gotten into, well, the massive role that certain members of the CN community have had in making this censorship actually happen, with them going ahead and creating guides on how to report games like Wuthering Waves, making guides on how to actually get some complaints over to the CCP to get the age rating for this game updated to, well, 16 plus in a lot of stores around the globe. And so with that, there's been a bit of an official address. There's been something that the devs themselves have said about the issue. And so we're going to go ahead and cover exactly what Kuro Games is talking about over here. So if you go ahead and get into the in-game announcements, you can go ahead and click this bottom over, or sorry, I'm hiding it. You can go ahead and click this button over here to pop those up, nab yourself over to game, and then look at known issues and updates. And so as you scroll down, dear Rover, we're constantly blah, 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 blah. Known issues. We applied a hotfix to the current version on the 9th of April at 1830 UTC, addressing issues with the performance of the enemy model for Fleurdelys in the weekly challenge. Due to time constraints, the results have not fully met our expectations. We will continue to refine the design in future versions. Please stay tuned for official announcements. And so if you haven't already seen it from some of the clips that I've already shown, here's something that shows it in pretty fine detail exactly what those updates were. And so Fleurdelys originally had, well, let's just be honest here, this is basically like either like a swimsuit or like a bikini sort of deal, you know, very scantily clad on the left. And this is essentially what Fleurdelys was looking like model-wise prior to that update on April 9th. And now afterwards, it kind of just looks like she has spats that have been, well, spray painted on. Let's just be real. You might have noticed it in some of the weekly challenges that you've been doing, but this doesn't really look that good. It looks like it was rushed. It looks like it was something that was done just on a really, really rushed basis. And so the devs have gone ahead and they basically said, right, we're going to make some further refinements to the design. Please stay tuned for official announcements, and thank you for your support and understanding. What's pretty clear over here is that Wuthering Waves really did not like having the game rated 16 plus, specifically for something as damning as nudity, especially when we're seeing games like Nikke, like Brown Dust 2, like Snowbreak, all of those games that are far more goonerific than anything that's in WoWA being rated as 12 plus. And so it's pretty clear that the CCP, based off of a lot of the claims and a lot of the instructions and the existence of terrorist groups, not really terrorist groups, but maybe like e-terrorist groups like XJJ in the community, going ahead and sending in those mass reports, this is probably something that Kuro wanted to get sorted out immediately. And so there's been an official post, not really an official post, but there's been a post by somebody, Vaornari, a top 1% commenter on the Wuthering Waves subreddit, talking about this update. And basically, this is their summary of it, and I'm inclined to agree. So this is how it basically reads, and I feel like a lot of people will agree with the take over here. The CCP gave us an hour to fix this, or they're taking the game down. So we did a rush job, but we will come back and change or fix it, just like we did with Jinxie's paid skin. And so a lot of people might not be familiar with what exactly this individual is talking about over here with Jinxie's paid skin, the Peach Blossom one, but that was something where the model was updated to become a lot more higher quality. And I've actually got some before and after pictures to show you all to kind of indicate what's happening over here. And so on the left-hand side, what we're going to see is a photo, right? Or really, after I zoom in, what we're going to see on the left-hand side is a photo of what Jinxie's paid skin, Peach Blossom, actually looked like before an update. You can see that the textures are like very flat. They look like they're painted on. Keyword, painted on. Much like how the spats on Fleurdelys in the present patch look like they're also pasted on. Moving forward though, what the devs did was actually update the skin to have much more vivid and like 3D textures that we're seeing over here. You can see that the metal is raised, the fabric actually looks like fabric, and there's a lot more going on in terms of the polygons. And when you look in game and you go over to Jinsei, if you do have the skin, and even if you don't, I'm pretty sure you can preview it, you can see that that's basically exactly what's going on over here. We have like all of those exact texture updates, all of those exact model updates that people were talking about. And so Kuro clearly has a dedication to quality, a dedication to, you know, making things right if they feel like they've messed up in terms of their design. They're basically self-admitting with this post over here that, well, they kind of messed it up. And so we can go ahead and we can see from this that there's a lot that Kuro Games is dealing with right now. And unfortunately, with all these mass reports coming in, with all of the critiques to the design that are being sent to an actual government body, hopefully this is the end of all of the censorship that we'll be seeing. Hopefully this is the end of the impact that all of these mass reports have been causing for individuals over on the dev team. And unfortunately, those that are calling out this issue are, well, getting silenced. There have been multiple creators, multiple CCs that have gone ahead and decided to address exactly what's going on with the whole censorship situation, with the whole updates that are being made to all of these models. And we've actually got a post over here from Nowell, Impure FX, who originally made one of the most viral and popular videos regarding this topic. I believe that video had around 34K views, around 35K views, before they were heavily suggested to take the video down. And so we'll just go ahead and see what exactly is going on over here. Sup everyone, regarding the video about Wuwa censorship, me and my friends that manage this account decided to take it down for a while because we've been getting a few messages related to it. Some big creators are discussing the same topic from the same source, but me personally think it's better to take it down for now to prevent the if in case there's something not very accurate about it. You guys can check Kazahana's or Saint's video about the same censorship topic from the same source, and he's got basically all of the links, all of the glue regarding that. They got him. What kind of message you think it is? Hoyo fandom is really nice. And so maybe these guys are telling the future of what I'm gonna have to deal with in terms of maybe some XJJ or Hoyo assassins coming my way over the next few months. I do know Taekwondo, I do know a little bit of self-defense, so I'll probably be okay. But now that I think about it, these guys are probably not the most physically fit ever because all they do is stay at home and play Honkai Impact 3. So I'm not particularly too worried. It's kind of clear. I've got the video listed out over here, a whole 23 minutes detailing the issue. I'm personally not thinking about taking it down. I think that I'm going to be personally very, very, very okay. But the issue has gotten way out of control. And unfortunately, I do believe that this has kind of set the tone, maybe set the framing for Kuro Games in the future in terms of their new character designs, what they have coming on the horizon. They might feel like their creativity or, you know, potential spiciness that they'll have in the designs moving forward is going to be a bit more limited. Because, I'm going to be real here, I think that it would be absolutely disastrous. I think that it would be a huge, massive issue if the game's rating goes back down to 12 plus after making all of these updates, and upon a new release, upon a new enemy or a new 5-star unit, 4-star unit, they go back to making a bit more of a spicy design. I am afraid that this game will simply just get mass reported again by organizations like XJJ with their Isu faction and their non-Isu faction, and then get it pushed back up to 16 plus. And unfortunately, I believe if this happens again, they get on to, you know, maybe strike 2 out of 2 or strike 2 out of 3 with the government. That could lead to some very big issues. And so do keep in mind that while the devs are going to be making updates to right some of the wrongs that have occurred with their character designs, I do think that people need to sort of temper their expectations. They need to be, you know, as reasonable as they possibly can if they're big fans of the game, because this, in my opinion, is going to result in a lot of character remodels, a lot of potential changes in like the back end of their development. Think about all of the units, all of the NPCs, all of the potential bosses, or maybe even echoes that are undergoing rework and development right now to sort of safeguard against any more of these mass reports being made. Because let's be real here, these individuals didn't really have a leg to stand on. These individuals didn't really have anything to mass report prior to the release of version 2.2. It's pretty clear, you know, from the designs that we saw and the designs that we've been seeing in that patch, these two were some of the spiciest characters that we've ever had in the game, right? Some of the most scantily clad, some of the most suggestive. And so this is probably going to be the last that we'll be seeing, especially when, you know, the CCP's ears are, I guess, just so sensitive to whatever the beck and call is of these basically e-terrorist communities that have been invading the space. And so I would just make the recommendation, I would just make the plea, don't blame Kuro Games for what's going on over here. This is pretty much entirely, again, this is pretty much speculation, but I believe that it's mostly what's going on with these communities that are mass reporting. I don't think that this is Kuro Games intentionally trying to sabotage their own game. I don't think this is Kuro Games trying to, you know, bait and switch players by, you know, trying to convince people to pull units like Cartethyia and then, you know, censor them afterwards. This isn't something that Kuro Games wants us to do. It's pretty clear from the timeline of the game turning 16 plus and losing all of its ads, losing all of its sponsorships, losing all of its marketability. It's pretty clear that if Kuro Games is making these censorship updates right after that big sweeping change to the age rating, this is being done to keep the game as marketable and as successful as possible. And we have to keep in mind that the anniversary for this game is only like 14, 15 days away, and that's supposed to be a time for celebration. It's supposed to be a time for players to get the most out of Wuthering Waves, you know, coming back to a year of progress. And when Kuro Games has so many materials prepared, so many exciting things that they have planned moving forward for what they're going to be showing in the anniversary, the different events that they're going to have, and potentially all of the rewards that the players are going to be able to experience moving forward. This is a huge cog in the plan. This is a huge wrench that's going to possibly mess up a lot of what they wanted to do for these updates. And so the last thing, in my opinion, that Kuro Games needs is their own player base turning against them for something that they have to do to keep the game alive. Because there have been a lot of people, there have been many individuals going around complaining, you know, saying that they're trying to push for refunds, that they're trying to, you know, that they believe that they've been wronged by the devs themselves. This is something that is entirely outside of their control. And unfortunately, we've had to make a lot of videos covering the situation. We've had to expose some of the parties that have been involved, people that are going ahead and legitimately making how-to guides on how to report the game to the CCP. I don't think that they're necessarily going to be reverting the censorship, but from what we're seeing over here, they are going to do as much as they can to make it better. And so when it comes to the community reactions that we've been seeing a lot of, I've heard of a lot of people saying that they're gonna quit the game, that if further censorship changes go through, they're gonna raise a ruckus, blame Kuro Games, cause all of these problems. And I do believe that those individuals either have no understanding at all of what the current situation is, have no understanding at all of the impact of a 16 plus rating, or they're simply the same type of people that we're seeing in here. They're kind of like infiltrating the community, they're doing a bit of astroturfing, and they're trying to sow as much discord or chaos possible in the community to try to drive towards the goal, right, of Wuthering Waves EOSing. Because if they don't make these updates, if they don't make these nerfs to all of the models, that is what's going to happen to the game. Because once you lose that government support, once you start getting indicted by actual authorities, and then the age ratings go up, the sponsorships are lost, all of the marketing that we've been doing in places like Times Square, or all the pop-up events are no longer able to happen, what do you think is going to occur to the game? All these individuals are trying to do, because of their love, right, of Hoyoverse games, is paint the game in a negative light, drive that negative PR and press, and ultimately, right, try to seal the fate of this game. And so do keep in mind, you're probably going to be seeing a lot of conversations, a lot of people claiming that this is the worst thing that's ever happened in gacha games, and that Kuro is an evil company, and that they're all going to quit in droves. I don't think that those are legitimate players of the game. I do think that they're simply posing as woo-wah players to sow as much discord as possible. And so do keep that in mind. Try to have as much grace as possible for Kuro in these struggling times. I know you might think that I'm being like a shill. I know that you might think I'm trying to like just defend the company as much as possible, but this is legitimately a situation that I don't think anybody can really win from. I do think that this is just a situation where all we can do as both like players, developers, and a community, all we can really do is just try and mitigate the damage. And mitigating the damage on the community side is probably the most that we can do as players to help out in this situation. And of course, right, I might have some Hoyo assassins that I need to deal with, so do keep in mind that I'm doing my part as well. So with that, let me know what you all think. It's a crazy situation, and hopefully this is the last time we'll have to talk about it, but we'll just have to see in the future. And so if some of the future character designs that we have are a bit more conservative, are a bit, you know, disappointing in terms of maybe what you were looking for, do keep in mind that it's probably not what the devs wanted to do in the first place. So with that, let me know what you all think. Peace.